I'm Jurjen de Grief, I'm the Commercial Strategy Director for MHHS at Stark, and I've been here for about 8 years.
And I'm Lucy Holder, I'm the Commercial Strategy Lead for Market-Wide Half-Hourly at Stark, and I've been here for 7 years.
MHHS is an indirect future drive to net zero for the country.
More people as well are getting on their own net zero journey as well, individually and at a business level. So people want to see something to help them get on that journey, and that essentially comes down to the data. Data visualization is going to be absolutely key in market-wide half-hourly settlement, because people are going to have access to half-hourly metering, a standard essentially. Every meter is going to be half-hourly settled, and they'll have the opportunity to see that energy data and then make informed decisions about how they actually reach net zero moving forward. Of these 30 million metres that are going to move to be half-hourly settled, 2.6 million of those sit in the I&C world, so the industrial and commercial. And of those 2.6 million metres, they settle 70% of the UK's energy. So it's a really large proportion in comparison to the others, which are all domestic. And of that, you have 1.2 million that are advanced currently, so they've got half-hourly, non-half-hourly AMR installed already. And then the other half, which is smart, SDS, are SMETS 1 and 2 metres. There's about 500,000 of those, 500,000, and then about 900,000 non-half-hourly dumb traditional metres, which essentially will need to go somewhere throughout this process. And our hope is that they move to AMR because we know that's better, but there is a real risk that actually some of these move to smart, to SMETS, and less customers have control of their data and where that goes and how they can use it. So
yeah, I think if customers want to benefit from that move to either SDS with SMETS, which is supplier-led, or to ADS with AMR, if they want to benefit from it, ADS and AMR is by far the best option. You stay in control as a customer and you control who you use for that, and you can make most efficient use of the data and work towards net zero.
We liken MHHS to P272 to help customers understand, if they were in the industry for P272, that it is sort of similar. It is really different, but if we take ourselves back, P272 saw a portion of the industry's meters being moved to be half-hourly settled in some way. Market-wide half-hourly is exactly the same, only instead of a small portion, it's 30 million meters that are moving now to be half-hourly settled. But there's actually loads of differences between MHHS and P272 in that P272 happened in a bit of a silo. Market-wide half-hourly is a huge system upgrade. There's lots of software development. We're moving to new settlement timetable. We've got new industry terminology and accredited roles. So it is similar in some ways, but very different in others. And it impacts everybody, which P272 was, again, a small portion of the industry moving to be half-hourly settled.
I think as a customer, regardless whether you are a retailer, a supplier, or a TPI or a council, you would like one company to work with. Yeah, so that is for your non-half-hourly sites currently, for your half-hourly sites, but also for your unmetered supplies. So we think it's really important that we offer all services from data perspective, but also from a metering service perspective. So we are being accredited for all services, for all rules, post MHHS, so we can offer a full end-to-end service in all areas for our customers. Now we also believe that to be in control of our own development, we have to own the IP and develop all the technology improvements that we require for these accreditations ourselves. So we do that and have been doing that for the past 18 to 24 months, and we'll continue to do that. And we believe that it's much better from a customer service perspective and from a customer satisfaction perspective to offer these services onshore. So we don't outsource anything, we don't have any operations offshore. It's all based in the UK, and that's what we plan to continue to do.
We also know as well that a lot of our customers will have a different array of metering across their portfolio, so they will have advanced, smart and unmetered supplies, and we like to think that we can perform sort of our role across all of the supplies that they'll have in their portfolio, which would be nice. It's that one point of contact essentially for their metering and their data. Essentially, Stark will take care of all of your unmetered supplies as well, similar to your advanced and smart section of meters. It's better to just have everything all together in one place with one provider. Stark is going to be providing metering and data services in the advanced, smart and unmetered section of market-wide half-hourly settlement. So for the advanced section will be an ADS and an MSA. So ADS is Advanced Data Service. That captures all half-hourly and non-half-hourly AMR meters today that give you day+1 data. And MSA, Metering Service Advanced, is like the meter operation part as we currently know it today. And that's the metering, essentially. Again, AMR, half-hourly or non-half-hourly. For the smart side of things, we'll be providing the SDS role and the MSS role. So Smart Data Service for the data, typically SMETS 1 and 2 meters, and also non-half-hourly traditional or dumb meters as they're sometimes referred to. And again, same thing, MSS, Meter Service Smart, will be the metering types that are linked to both of those, SMETS or non-half-hourly dumb. And we'll also be covering unmetered services as well for customers that have those within their portfolio. Yeah, Stark have been around for a long time and they've been here for a lot of those changes that have already happened. So I think we're well positioned to know what's coming and be prepared for it. But also our business has evolved dramatically over, I'd even say, the last 5 years to get up to speed with what's happening. And because, you know, we do take that proactive approach, we're ready essentially, and we've made sure that our entire business is ready and that each area of the Stark Group can facilitate what's coming with all of the new accredited roles and the software development and everything that we need to do to continue supporting our customers.
Yeah, this is not a surprise that this is happening. So even if we look at sort of today's data quality within the industry, and some of that information is publicly available, but if we look at sort of our state and where we collect data, and then look at which other agents are involved on those sites from a MOP perspective. Yeah, so our data quality performance is absolutely excellent and is top of the table, is the best in the industry, where we are currently the DC and the MOP. And I think that puts us in a really good position to take you through MHS, whether you are a supplier or a customer or a TPI, when timescales and the quality of data, timescales become shorter and the quality needs to be a lot higher. We're in a great position there, especially where we are the MOP and the DC. I think another advantage of potentially working with Stark is we don't just focus on one utility. And I know MHHS is only applicable to the electricity market, yeah, but we are a gas MAM as well. So we can also provide you with gas day+1 data. We don't just focus on electricity only. Yeah, we are a gas MAM as well, where we can deliver day+1 gas data, interval data as well, half-hourly. We are an IDNO. We are heavily involved with installing EV chargers.
We do sub-metering.
P434 was a modification introduced by the programme where the programme thought it was easier for all unmetered supplies to move to half-hourly settlements prior to MHHS. The aim is for all existing unmetered supplies that are currently half-hourly to move to half-hourly settlements prior to April 25. So that's the date they've set for P434. So all these non-half-hourly existing unmetered supplies will move to half-hourly prior to April, ready for migration from April 25 onwards. And the reason they're doing that is to make migration in MHHS easier for these unmetered supplies.
Potentially.
It depends on the customer, on their current situation. Most of the work will be done behind the scenes. But I do think any customer or every customer, big or small, should prepare for it. And I think if you prepare right and work with the right parties and have the right partnership in place with someone like Star, I think it will be completely managed from the beginning till the end and a customer will not notice anything at all. We will do it for you. It's absolutely fine. If you don't prepare and sit tight and do nothing, you might see disruption, and that disruption could be loss of data post-migration. It could be meter replacements. It could be additional charges from suppliers. Yeah? I'm not saying that will happen, but those are possibilities. But prepare and engage and work with us and everything will go smooth. I think that having a meter up and running and working with communications to be able to collect data on a daily basis remotely will become more and more important. And if your MOP is with company A and your DC is with company B in today's world, which is the same as, let's say, your ADS is with company B and your MSA is with company A, there can be a bit of finger pointing, as in, it's not us, it's them, and the other way around. If everything is with one party, you get much better data quality because it's in our best interest to fix that meter as quickly as we can if it is faulty. And what we really want to achieve is 100% meters up and running and working.
Market-wide half-hourly settlement is also working towards a world where data quality is king, essentially. So having that combined approach, your metering your data is essential. It's a joined-up approach. It's one point of contact. As sort of Jurgen said, it's not a case of you have all these different providers that provide different parts of the process for you. You have your energy supplier that sits over here, but at least if your metering your data is combined, it's just that joined up approach of who do I speak to dependent on what the issue is. And because data quality is going to be so important, it's important now, but it's going to be even more important post-market wide. Having that one point of contact to say the meter's faulty or I'm not getting any data means it's one point of contact to fix it as well, which is fundamental.
Yeah. I'll add one thing to that, and obviously data quality is important in today's world. In today's world, it might be important from a, let's say, energy management perspective, or from a bill validation perspective. If you are a TPI or a customer, you want to check your bills. I think in future, and that will slowly start to happen now, and will probably ramp up in the next 1, 2, 3 years, but I think it will be the new norm. Yes, the higher your data quality is as a customer, so if you can offer a supplier 100% day plus one data during a procurement period, I think that you will get discounts. If you have to go to your supplier and say, I only have 50% data, you will pay a premium.
The industry is looking for more data accuracy as well. We want to make sure that we record accurately what we're using so that we can make sure we only charge people for what they're using. If we're trying to look at this bigger picture that MarketWide's trying to sort of achieve with net zero, we need to balance the grid, and we can't do that right now because we don't have this full picture and visibility of what everyone's using. So if everyone's on half-hourly metering, everyone's being half-hourly settled, that visibility, it just opens up essentially. And if we have that, we can start then interrogating what is going on at a more granular level, so that all the sort of exciting net zero projects that are out there can actually be born efficiently. They don't just sort of pop up sporadically. The energy data feeds that project to make sure that it is actually the right project for that area or that customer or that business essentially. So data is really crucial.
Yeah, whether it's the grids or whether it's areas in the country or whether it's let's say a specific customer site, especially if it's a bigger supply. Yeah, without data, you can't really go into load switching, or renewables will start to play a bigger role as well, and that will likely include batteries. At the moment, it's hard to point out where they need to go, where investment is needed, where things can be fixed with a battery, or where I need to put more cables in the ground because I don't have enough data.
And MarketWide as well is also asking us to do everything quicker and faster, which is why when we talk about that joined up approach of your meter and your data, having it in one place allows us to go and fix things quicker as well, because we'll need to, because there's going to be this higher standard for how we get data, and with that we need to make sure that everything can be done as remotely as possible, so we haven't got that sort of human intervention that we currently see in today's world
as well. And this is not even taking AI into account.
The reconciliation periods as well, like reducing significantly. You're not going to have enough time to argue that your bill is wrong essentially because the window's closed. The buying and selling has been done, the data's been locked in. So again, getting that accurate data is really important, and making sure you interrogate it to be billed accurately as well. It's going to empower customers to do something with it if they don't already. Does it affect me? If they've got half-hourly meters, they sort of think that this is separate for them because it's market-wide half-hourly settlement. It's about non-half-hourly meters moving. It is, but even your half-hourly meter is affected because, again, we're going through this new sort of accreditation, new roles, new terminology, and every meter is going to be de-appointed at the point of migration. So half-hourly customers only will be impacted also because their meters will move through that migration. It will not be a half-hourly meter anymore. It will be an advanced meter, either obviously ADS, MSA. So there's changes for half-hourly customers as well, and I think that's quite a common question. Does it affect me because I only have a half-hourly sort of supply meter.
Yeah, another common question is when will it happen? And obviously there's an 18-month timescale where it will happen, but the supplier or your supplier actually decides when your amp-amps or meters will migrate. So at this moment in time, all suppliers have been given their what they call waves, yeah, and they have a main wave, which is what the aim is, and the majority of, let's say, that supplier's amp-amps should go in that wave, and then they have a backup wave where they will sort of, if there's any amp-amps left. So you might be ready as a customer with AMR and half hourly. It doesn't mean your supplier is ready.
Ahead of market-wide half hourly, being able to dial all metering protocols is going to be really crucial as well. Essentially, there's going to be lots of changes, customers moving from provider A to B, different accredited people coming into the market. There's some players even exiting the market. So there's going to be this whole sort of change up of what's going on right now. If you potentially take on a customer and you cannot dial their meter, that is a problem for market-wide half hourly settlement. And essentially, Stark have always taken the view to be a lot more proactive to ensure that we can dial every type of metering protocol out there so that we can support every single customer.
The way we do that is because we develop technology in-house in the UK and we don't outsource it. If there is any developments or new meters coming to the market, we'll just develop the protocol to make sure that we can dial all meters. And that's important now. That's also important if you were to inherit sites, or if you acquire another company, or if you move business from location A to location B, because you don't necessarily know what's in situ. But we are able to take on board every meter that you have on site, and we can definitely dial it because we develop all protocols in-house. So data quality A is important from a drive to net zero and energy management. And that goes back to, if you don't measure it, you can't manage it. So data quality is absolutely crucial. It's also important from a procurement perspective for TPIs, and from a bill validation perspective, whether that's via a TPI or whether you check your own bills with the supplier. But what will change, and that is changing already, it's changing slowly now, but I think there will be an awful lot of development in that space over the next 2-3 years, is flexible tariffs. And I actually think there will be incentives for customers on the kilowatt hour price if they have 99 or 100% data quality in their estate. I think they will get energy cheaper than other customers who don't have that. So data quality will be beneficial financially towards net zero and for energy management.
And we believe that the best way of doing that is by having an AMR meter installed, because it's a more superior form of metering essentially, and it will enable the customer to collect that day+1 data for the supplier purposes, but also their own energy management purposes.
I think there's several values for a business, and some of them already exist in today's world. And I think some will evolve more in post-migration or even pre-migration. I think the market and the industry will develop quite rapidly there. But it's from reducing your carbon and a drive to net zero, and therefore reducing cost, energy management, full stop. And I think another one is time of use tariff or flexible tariffs. But I do think there will be incentives for people who have the majority of their metering estate sorted with accurate day+1 data. I think they will see discounts in kilowatt hour pricing for their entire estates. That's how we look at it, and I'm sure that will happen. It's already happening a little bit, but will happen more and more going forward. You can even go one step further and tweak it, which, you know, is a different view, but it in essence means the same, that people who do not have their metering estate in order and who do not have the majority with accurate day+1 data will get penalised by suppliers.
Or will have the decision made for them in terms of where their metering moves to, which will, we hope, not be smart, SMETs, but there is a real risk that because of supplier-driven incentives going on elsewhere in the industry, that smart will be pushed, SMETs meters will be installed, and that will make it harder for the customer to actually get the data that they need when they do start to become engaged, to then work out what they're doing at site and across their business to then reduce their consumption.
Suppliers need to buy the energy from the generators that they sell on to their end users. They have to buy a certain amount. They have to predict how much they're going to need. They can do that a lot better with accurate data. If they don't have that data, they're going to de-risk it and basically increase the price, because they might buy too little or too much, which is not great. And that's what they'll do. So accurate data will be incentivized. The lack of accurate data will be penalized. It will become the new norm. Preparation is key, I think. And that is I think the starting point for every business should be to examine their estate and look what they currently have in place on each of their sites from a metering and data perspective.
Also, work out what's half hourly and non-half hourly in today's world, but also what's advanced, smart and unmetered moving forward, just so again you can get your head around the sort of terminology that's coming in. Another thing would be to look at who your appointed agents are. Again, if you haven't got stock across your entire portfolio, it might be a really nice opportunity to start looking at where we can streamline our services moving forward to that single provider that we spoke about.
I think the third one is engaging with the supplier, because in the end the supplier will decide when you migrate. And I think if it's prepared well and if it's managed properly, there will be zero disruption, and in the end that's what you want to achieve. But you have to engage with all the parties, suppliers and agents that are involved in that process.
In MHHS, not every meter needs to be upgraded or removed, or that isn't required. But there is some work essentially to be done in terms of understanding what your metering portfolio is doing though currently. There'll be a lot of customers who have meters that have been installed 10, 15 years ago that might actually be near their certification period. So it might be really important to start looking at, again, is my meter likely to fall over in the next 2 to 3 years, and what can I do to sort of be ready for that? Do I want to upgrade it now or do I want to wait? Equally, if you have got a non-half hourly dumb traditional meter in situ, knowing that market-wide half hourly is coming and knowing that a preference potentially for AMR is going to be better, upgrading to AMR ahead of time is also a potential good thing.
I think also, especially if you are a multi-site customer and are speaking to your supplier, I would highlight to your supplier that you make the assumption that whatever is in situ from an agent perspective pre-migration, that they will put that back in situ post-migration.
Key things are essentially review your current metering estate, work out what is going on with the meters that you currently have in situ, speak to your energy supplier, work out what's going to affect you in terms of that relationship when you're going to migrate and such. And lastly, get your other contractual partners in place.
To make sure you communicate with them that any MOP or DC that is in situ right now, you want them to continue to be in place post-migration. Move all your non-half hourly meters to AMR. And the reason is to take control, to get data, and to make migration as smooth and easy as possible.
Speak to Stark, start that dialogue. Let us help you understand what you need to do ahead of market-wide. And let's create a plan of action together ahead of April 25 so that everyone can feel ready. Stark will be able to give you that information, so we'll give you that portfolio overview which will tell you about all of the meters that we currently provide services on for you across metering and data. But your current meter operator, your MOP, will be able to tell you what type of metering you have in situ, because again, if there are going to be problems with your metering moving forward, that's important to know. If that meter is going to potentially be difficult to be adopted or taken on by another provider in the industry, really crucial. So no, we can provide all of that information, let you know the age of your current meters, when they were installed, if they're collecting up to date today, and again, any sort of considerations that we think that you should make ahead of market-wide half hourly. One
way of doing it is, for example, is by taking the MPAN number from one of your invoices. So if you have a list of all the MPANs that you have, in theory and in practice as well, you can give that to us. And we can look at what that means and what meters are in situ, and we can find the majority out in industry systems. Yes, it does matter if you have different MOPs and DCs across your portfolio. I think it will be much easier for you as a business, and you will get a better service and better quality if you have everything with one party from a MOP and DC. And that's in today's world and moving forward towards MHHS as well. A streamlined approach is definitely preferential. If we look at stats that we have and that we receive from the industry, where Stark are the MOP and the DC, our data quality is higher than anybody else out there. So we are the best performing MOP and DC combination. And to get quality data is already important, but will only become more important going forward, pre and especially post migration. It all depends whether your supplier is accredited in the new rules post-migration. So if you have gone through migration and you go to a supplier that is ready for that, so that is accredited as a supplier in the new world, nothing will happen. It will just, you can change supplier every 6 months, or in theory every day if you want. It's absolutely fine. You need to go through the same process because your meters will still migrate from the old system or the old worlds to the new worlds. And yes, they are already being half-hourly settled. So for you, there will be probably less change from a terminology perspective or less change from an opportunity perspective as well. But you will go through MHHS like everybody else, every meter.
So it's upon the point of migration that every MPAN gets de-appointed, because I think that's a misconception as well. Lots of people think that this de-appointment happens on April the 1st,
no, it doesn't.
2025, and that isn't the case.
No.
As the supplier is ready, following the programme's instruction, to migrate following the wave that they've been allocated, if you're a customer that sits under that energy supplier, you will then be informed and you will migrate under that supplier.
Yeah.
That will involve a mass de-appointment of every single current provider that you work with in the old current roles as MOP DC, energy supplier, and then the new market-wide half-hourly world. If the current provider that you work with is accredited, they will then be reappointed in the new roles. So there's lots of flux that's going to happen around that essentially, and making sure that you've spoken to each of those providers ahead of time to guarantee that data continuity is key.
It's not really any different to whether it's not half-hourly or half-hourly. They will all go through migration. So you should look at the same things for half-hourly as you should for non-half-hourly.
Yeah, all meters are going to be half-hourly settled in MHHS. There's going to be no distinction between meters. Profile classes are disappearing, COPs are remaining, so your meter COP will still remain, and that will help us determine the size of the meter and the volume of energy going through it. But every meter will be half-hourly settled, so we're moving away from that split of half-hourly, non-half-hourly, and moving towards everything being half-hourly, but in this bucket of either advanced, smart or unmetered. MHHS is going to affect everyone, and it's really important that you take control of who you want to work with now and moving forward in the future. When we talk about taking control, we mean taking control of the type of metering that you have in situ within your metering portfolio. Do you want AMR or do you want SMETS?
We recommend AMR to make sure you get the best quality of data pre and post migration.